Welcome to KimAppa, Jarrod and Robbie back on a random day at a random time in many random different ways. Robbie is
Yeah.
just desperate to talk about this test match tomorrow. He said he's got about 20 different points to come up. You should have seen his notes, everyone. Just notes on top of notes. He's got a 20-minute rant about Sai Sudarshan that he wants to make. There's a couple of things I want to ask you. Here's one. Shieldberry came up with this theory years ago. Do you remember when England did? It's still one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. They brought in Joss Butler to be a specialist number 7 bat when Bairstow was in the side, which completely crippled Bairstow as a human being, right? Like Bairstow just couldn't get his head around why there was a specialist number 7 who was a wicket keeper in the side while he was a wicket keeper, right? But we have seen a lot of times, recently, and you would have had this in your career, where there are more than one wicket keeper in a side now, right? Like at junior level, almost everyone wicket keeps now if they're not bowling. And so when you get to senior level, there's lots of guys who can keep, which wasn't the case 30, 40 years ago, right? Where there was like a specialist keeper. Shieldberry has this theory that, let's say Dhruv Jurel and Rishabh Pant play together. If one of them makes a big score and the other one doesn't, then the other one should wicket keep. And that they should also be used at specialist times. Maybe one is better against pace, one is better against spin. Maybe one is better for the fourth innings compared to earlier on. As a wicket keeper, how would you feel about being told you were splitting the load of wicket keeping because there were 2 or 3 of you in the side?
Well, it would totally depend on the kind of surfaces we'd be wicket keeping on. So if I, as a wicket keeper, was preferred to keep to fast bowling a lot more than spin bowling, in say Australian conditions, then I would be like, no, I want to keep both innings,
Yep.
right? Uh, it's not a bad idea. Let's be honest.
It's got merit, right? And it's one of those things that because of, I don't know how much you know about the history of wicket keeping, but if you go back to pre-World War II and certainly pre-World War One, wicket keepers often batted at 8, 9, 10, 11, right? They were
Yeah.
absolute specialists. There's one wicket keeper who averages over 35 or 32 even maybe before World War II, right? Which was Les Ames. There's only one other that averages over 30. Right. So no one is picking wicket keepers because they can bat. They're picking specialist wicket keepers all the way through. Sometimes wicket keepers could bat and they were handy, but no one was picked because of that. And then after World War II, teams start to go, but wait a minute, maybe we can get someone who can bat a little bit. And you see, Walcott and England go through a whole period. They pick a guy called Jim Parks, who's a batter, right? And basically say, you can keep good enough, and they give him a go. And then eventually we get to the sort of Andy Flower, Alex Stewart, which leads into Adam Gilchrist. And that's when those 3 guys sort of break it open, right? But you could see it, Rob. If you look at the averages of wicket keepers, they're just slowly going up the whole time, right? Like it's really interesting. So in the old days, it wouldn't have made any sense to even have 2 wicket keepers.
Okay, is that me or is that Jarrod, who's just gotten stuck right now? Definitely can't be me. My internet's fine. Can we have someone on the private chat tell me? Yeah, it's Jarrod who's stuck. Oh, there he is, back again.
I don't know.
Is the fox at it again, buddy?
Yeah, it's always the fox, you know that. So my point is that traditionally there was no reason to ever split the workload of a wicketkeeper, right? And if you go back and you look at early cricket, quite often the 2 opening bowlers would bowl like almost the entire day, all right?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't always get the 3rd and 4th bowlers. But as games go longer, of course you need a 3rd bowler, a 4th bowler. And now we're up to a period of time where maybe not as much right at the moment, Robbie, but the last 15, 20 years, you need a 5th bowler as well, right?
Yeah.
So if you have multiple wicket keepers in your side, is it not better to use them when they're fresh and ready rather than the way that we try and do it at the moment, which is you've got 3 wicket keepers in the side, but we couldn't possibly, upset the main wicket keeper, which we wouldn't do really for any other position.
I think it depends on how well things are communicated to both wicket keepers. I think that becomes integral on the team management to say that, hey, okay, listen, this is what we're thinking of doing. What do you guys think about it? We think this will keep you guys more astute and more sharp when you do get to keep, and when your opportunity does come to keep, and we think it'll help you stay fresher as well as a batter. Obviously, the option of having 2 wicketkeeper batters playing in the 11 only can happen if their batting prowesses are equally as good. Which in this case today they feel that Dhruv and Rishabh possess similar batting prowesses, and we believe that Dhruv is a high quality bat at the Test level. So I think it's if it's communicated well to these players, then I don't think anyone should have an issue. I think when the whole thing with Bairstow and Joss happened, obviously maybe the communication wasn't right, which is why probably Bairstow felt insecure and felt threatened, and that impacted his game, and then went on to, uh, I think he slowly even went out of the squad for a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that one is Dhruv Jurel's not going to bat at 7, is he? He's going to come in as a specialist batter, right? So if he comes in as a
Yeah.
specialist batter, I think if you're the other wicketkeeper, you're like, okay, we're both here for our batting, but let's wicket keep when if I've made 200, maybe I shouldn't go out and wicket keep straight afterwards, right? Like if there's someone else in the squad who's made 10, it makes more sense to be able to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think in the Bairstow situation, what you had is it was quite clear that what England were trying to do is bring Butler in to be the wicketkeeper. They wanted to take the gloves off Bairstow, and Bairstow didn't want to let them go. And he is a person who feels insecure. I mean, I think it might have even been that tour or around that tour when he did that incredible press conference after making his 100, saying that everyone wanted him out the team. And it's because he'd misunderstood a Mike Atherton column, right? Where it wasn't even about him being outside. He just misunderstood the column. Because we were all sitting in the press box going, what's he talking about? And it was only later we put 2 and 2 together, we worked out what he meant. So, but it's very, very hard. And I remember RCB had a theory a few years ago. I'm trying to remember what year it was. Oh, it was 2018. It must have been around 2018, where they had this theory that they were going to really chop and change their team. They believed that they had a really good squad and they had the ability to come in and change the team around and everything. And I said, I remember them telling me about it. I said, I think that's a great idea, but you have to be so clear, right, that these people know that this is not them being dropped. Because I remember Mitchell Johnson in 10-11. He plays in Brisbane, doesn't play in Adelaide, and the Australian selectors are like, just being rested, nothing to worry about here. And Mitchell Johnson's like, goes to the press and goes, yeah, I was dropped. You can't have that, right? Like and it's tough. But I do think, and we've seen it sometimes in T20 cricket as well, haven't we? Where someone's made a wicketkeeper's make a big score and they don't come out and wicket keep anymore. I just think that's the best use of your resources, which is where we should be pushing with cricket, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the whole thing, right? And I think the communication part to the players, because you have to understand as team management, not only does a player have to earn the trust of the team management to find a spot in the 11, but it also works the other way. When you're making these kind of decisions, you have to earn the trust of a player for them to feel unthreatened.
Yeah.
By the fact of not playing a game or being rested or being rotated. It can't be a casual conversation that's had, say, in a team meeting. You got to have these conversations in person because you got to value the talent that they actually possess. And I think a lot of teams don't do that, but I think we're getting to that stage where it should be done. And I think I think conversations like this will push those things to happen in real time in cricket teams. But you have to also understand that this is one of the most insecure ecosystems in the world.
Yeah.
Competitive sport,
And especially an international 11 where you don't have substitutions means that like you're either in the side or you're not in the side, right?
Yeah.
And your team might not play a test match for 5 months afterwards. It isn't like a league situation where next week you'll play. So you understand why players feel like that. And you did I think we made a short clip out of it as well. You were talking about the way that players feel when it comes to competitiveness, right? Of like, I'm opening with my partner and we're together in this and everything, but I actually have to make more runs than him. And there's another guy who opens in the squad. Like, you can be best friends with someone, but you still want to kind of outperform them. And so you're in a weird situation if the first time they share the gloves, you're the wicketkeeper and you drop a catch and the other guy takes a one-handed perler. Like, throughout a year, maybe it will even out. You might even be a better keeper than him. But you also know that the first time it happens, if it doesn't go well for you, you start to shit bricks.
Yeah. And I think you're 100% start getting concerned because you're worried about perception, narratives being formed, narratives being set. So that's where constant communication with the player, especially if the player's of high caliber, then of high quality, then you want to make sure that your best players in your side feel as secure as possible, because security in that sense drives performances. Because if you're worried about the survival of your spot in the squad, then you're forced to operate out of survival mode. The only way for an athlete to focus on performance is that his security is taken care of, right?
Yeah.
I think it happens in different degrees in different sport, but in a team sport, especially like cricket, which is an individual game within a team sport, even more hard to navigate through.
No, I agree. We'll come back to dual keepers again. I think it's something that we're going to start to see more. I think franchise teams will use it more and more. We've already seen that on some hot days, but I think it'll come into cricket. Do you know what a false three is?
No. Enlighten me. By the way, before getting into that, by the way, hang on.
Before I lose my Wi-Fi?
No, you'll be fine, I think. Just when it comes to, you said, the history of wicket keepers. Like, can you give us a little bit of insight of what the history of all-rounders are before World War II? Because it seems like, as in the first all-rounder I kind of heard about was about Gary Sobers. I'm trying to think of anyone else of repute before that, and I can't seem to place one.
There was a lot of all-rounders before World War II because there was a lot of players. In women's cricket, there's a lot of all-rounders, and associate cricket, there's a lot of all-rounders. And as you would know, if you play club cricket, there's more all-rounders. So the lower the level of the cricket, there's more all-rounders. So South Africa had Jimmy Sinclair and Aubrey Faulkner. So Aubrey Faulkner's the only guy to average over 40 with the bat and under 30 with the ball. So they had a couple of others. South Africa actually, we think of them as an all-rounder country now. They might have been more of an all-rounder country when they started than they actually are now. Australia had George Giffen, Warwick Armstrong, and a few others. I'm trying to think of England's great early all-rounders. Wilfred Rhodes. Wilfred Rhodes is kind of like the Ravi Shastri of the first part of cricket. Bats everywhere in the order.
More bowler than batter?
Hey?
More bowler than batter?
I'm pretty sure he starts as a bowler, but ends up batting everywhere and very flexible in I don't think he was as good at batter as Ravi Shastri. I'd have to have a look at the numbers, but yeah, bats everywhere. W.G. Grace was an all-rounder. Did you know that?
No. What did he bowl?
Very slow, crappy medium pace is probably the best way of looking at it. W.G. Grace, his record as a bowler is ridiculous. I don't know if he bowls much in Test cricket, but in first class cricket, let's see if I can find this. It's going to blow your mind. In first class cricket, he took 2,809 wickets at 18. So there was lots of guys like that at that stage, right? And W.G. Grace is not considered an all-rounder anymore, right? And certainly in Test match cricket, let's see if he takes any. He took 9 wickets in Test match cricket, so barely bowled when he played in the Test matches.
Wasn't he royalty or something?
No, not royalty. Just a landed gentry, just one of the 1%ers, lizard person, that kind of thing. Yeah. So
interesting. Because we've heard stories about, I've heard stories about him.
I don't think he was royalty.
Batting with a broomstick.
Oh my God, I can't believe we've gone in so many different directions here. See, did you know there used to be cricket games where people would go out and play with broomsticks? Like, that was a thing. So it's not just him. There were I'm pretty sure, I want to get this right, I'm pretty sure there was a game at the Oval which was between cricketers and actors. And so the cricketers had to use broomsticks. One day I would go through the entire list of comedy cricket games that were played at major venues that like 20,000 people would turn up to watch from me. It's not like just a bit of fun and we put it up on KP's YouTube channel, right? Like, we're talking legitimate crowds coming to watch just absolutely batshit things. You know about the one arm games versus the one leg games, right?
Nope.
Disability cricket in the 1800s, people would go and watch a team of players who had one arm go up against a team of players with one leg. That was a thing that happened like more than once. Wow. The Oval itself played because this is before. So what happened? This is such a tangent we're on now. Cricket is a street game, right? And then it gets taken over by Hambledon, which kind of becomes Lord's in its own way, but not realistically. But so Lord's takes over cricket, and the rest of the country's like, but we still really like cricket too. And so you end up getting a lot of like traveling teams and nomadic teams. So there's a team that actually in the 1850s, so before W.G. Grace, literally just turns up like a franchise team to play your local village or your county, right? And because they were the best players in the country, everyone comes to watch them. So they're almost like the Harlem Globetrotters. They wore, I think it was pink polka dots, right? So we think of cricket as everyone wearing whites. This team didn't even wear whites. And what happened was there were all these fancy little teams that would go off, and then you would have novelty games. So you would have, men versus women. You would have one arm versus one leg. You would have like old people versus young people, like, actors versus non-actors. I think there might have been, I'm pretty sure I wrote this. I think there was a clown team. So that was a team of cricketers who all dressed like clowns. And if I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry to all the other historians, but I've got this memory. There was even in the 1880s, there was a professional cricket league for women, right? And they hired all the women based on how they looked, right? So it was sort of like the, you remember there was that weird, was it the lingerie NFL league type thing where it was like it's a bit like that, except without the lingerie. So cricket's had all these weird things all the way through, and it was actually well ahead of the times, right? Like if you go back, you're like, oh my God, we created franchise sports like decades before anyone else. But what eventually happens is that the county system is so big and so powerful that it kind of subsumes all these other things, right? So in the end, you're going to get paid more to play for your county than you are for this traveling franchise league. And also, the traveling franchise league didn't have access to the big grounds. Right. So I think one of the guys who set up the franchise league actually ends up setting up Trent Bridge. So he takes the money he gets from all those leagues and puts it into Trent Bridge. And that's how we end up with a major cricket ground in Nottingham, which is not one of the biggest cities in the UK, right? Like that's how they end up with that. And so he's taken all that money and everything else. And I think his wife owned the pub on the corner. So anyway. Is that the answer you wanted? So yes, there were plenty of all-rounders beforehand, but not. You're probably right in saying that before Sobers, Keith Miller, we maybe don't. That's when that sort of next level of all-rounder. Yeah, Keith Miller's just before Sobers, and he's also incredible. Keith Miller bats at like 4 for Australia and takes the new ball, right? Like he was a legit player.
Nice.
And also the other one is the other one of that era is Vinu Mankad, who I think is very, very underestimated in the history of Indian cricket. Vinu Mankad opens the batting and bowling for India, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, just a phenomenal.
Vinu Mankad was very respected. Even growing up, always looked up. We were always asked to look up to someone like him because of his all-round prowesses. I think his domestic numbers are quite incredible as well.
Yeah,
obviously because India at that point didn't play too much of cricket abroad.
No, I actually think if he played in a better team, he would have been better as well. Like he's kind of used out of position at times, and like he's probably a secondary spinner rather than a first spinner. But sometimes he had to play as the first spinner, and also he played quite defensively a lot of times because the batting order wasn't always as strong. Whereas actually, there's plenty of stories of him whacking the ball. Anyway, I don't know how you got me onto all that when I wanted to talk to you about false threes, which you will also like, right? So I don't know who came up with the false three, but it was someone on the internet. And it basically explains this modern temptation that teams have. It used to be that your best player batted at number 3, certainly in the West Indies and Australia and South Africa. And then through the 90s, we see Sachin, Tendulkar, Lara move to number 4. And so quite a few teams now, generally you have your best batter at number 4. There's also an argument for the best batter going to number 5 of recent times. But because bowlers have been so on top of the last couple of years, we have what we can now call a false number 3, right? And so in the false number 3s, you would have Jacob Bethel, Moeen Ali when he did it, right? Trying to fit someone else in the team, maybe they can bowl a little bit. So obviously Cameron Green, the West Indies have had a bunch of them. Yeah. Varun, I'm about to get to that person. You've got to allow storytelling to happen, Varun. And so Vian Mulder is the false number 3, right? Like he's the poster boy.
Vian Mulder,
right?
So I wouldn't agree with you about Moeen Ali though. I think Moeen Ali was actually a proper number 3. I think he
wasn't batted at number 3 as a proper number 3 though. He was batted there because they were trying to stack the lineup. So I think if you look at Cameron Green or Moeen Ali, you can argue that they're not actually number threes, right, in test level, but they're batting there because they have a little bit of bowling, which helps the team a little bit more, right? But certainly Jacob
maybe,
Bethel and Raymond Reefer, is it Raymond Reefer, my favorite one, who's like a number 7 and suddenly was batting number 3 for the West Indies? I think I can understand why teams do it. I still think if you can find a number 3, obviously you go with that. But I can understand the idea of a false 3. But my question to you is, does it make as much sense in Asia to have someone who's not a specialist batter at number 3 when you're not going up against the new ball moving around and bouncing and swinging as much, and you actually want your number 3 to get in, face the new ball, hit a couple of boundaries, get the speed of the pitch, and then start to play? So I just wondered if you think it's a theory that can hold up in Test match cricket in Asia as much as it will everywhere else.
Well, it could, but again, depends on the nature of the wicket, especially in Asia. If it's a flat deck and you know that it's not going to do much, then it would make sense for the keepers to share the load, because you know that the innings.
Not the keepers. We're talking about false 3s. We're talking duds at number 3 now. So we're talking about not putting one.
You've muted. I can't hear you. Nope. So false 3s in India, would it work? Yeah, you could, but I think in extraordinary situations. I think under normal circumstances, in those conditions, you don't want to use false 3s too much. You want, like, I'm always someone who believes that you need to have a settled side. You need to have settled numbers. We've been going on about how Surya should be batting at number 3 and Tilak at number 4 in T20I cricket. I think that holds good even for Test cricket. I think you want to have set numbers so that people can build that kind of rhythm there. Maybe it's easier to swap numbers in Test cricket simply because you have a lot more time. You're not driven by a constraint of time. To be able to, settle in there and score runs and perform well. However, I think as far as, a false 3 is concerned, I don't know. You have night watchman for that if you want. But no, I think, notwithstanding, jokes aside.
Jokes aside, can you hear me?
Yeah, clear as
I
day.
don't understand. I do 5,000 hours of recording a week, and then you get on, and you are the biggest jinx I've ever met as a human being. It's got to be you.
Do you want to take that back?
I'm trying to think of who else I know who's a bigger jinx than you. I'll come up with a list of my top 40 jinxes.
I don't know what you did, but you are so freaking loud right now.
Oh, I haven't done any. All I did was
Planet
unplug.
Pluto can hear you, but it's fine. It's fine. Don't fuck around with it. Leave it as
No,
it is.
I'm fucking around with everything. You know that. All right. Let's get to our thing about the retentions and everything today.
But I was saying false number 3s in the subcontinent, not. I don't think it's required.
I'm with you. I agree. So I'm very interested to see what South Africa do, whether VR Mulder moves or whether they just be like, you've made runs, just stay here for a while.
I think he should just stay there for a while, because I think if a player's just come back, like even if like as a false number 3s like has come up and scored runs at a particular position, leave him there. Let him just try.
So they tried Stubbs at 3. That's the other thing. They've tried Stubbs at 3 a few times as well. So it is quite fascinating. South Africa's number 3 position is. I mean, they're not the only team. Obviously, England have got Ollie Pope, but they've got like one eye on Jacob Bethel out the side of the side eye. There's a very very big chance they'll change their number 3 as well. Anyway, reviews, retentions. Let's get to the trades first. I think if we can. I've just said this, and it's going to completely stuff up Muku because he had it the other way. All right. So I'm just having a look. We have had a couple. We've had Rutherford. Shafane Rutherford was just traded to Mumbai for cash. I think the whole world knows how I feel about that, Robbie. Shardul Thakur was also traded for cash. Again, I'm not going to go into how stupid that is. We have the Sanju Samson trade, which we believe is for Jadeja and Curran. That still seems up in the air at the moment, right? Like, I don't think that's completely confirmed, but obviously has been mentioned quite a bit. It's quite an interesting trade, that, actually. How do you feel about that, Sanju Samson for Ravi Jadeja and Sam Curran?
From what I understand, is that Jadeja was open to the whole thing. He wasn't averse to it. In fact, almost wanted it, is what I understand. So for me, I don't like. I think if somebody wants to somebody wants to try something and do something, I think they should have the autonomy to make those decisions in their career. And I like the fact that cricketers have a little bit more autonomy, because I think generally we're all at the mercy of the administrators, or in some cases the broadcasters, right? So I like the autonomy, and I like the fact that he was able to make a decision, or actually have a say in making a decision about his career at the back end of his career. You know, maybe he wanted a different scene. Maybe he wanted a different challenge for himself, which is healthy, which is nice, which keeps you motivated. You know, but for Sanju, and you get Sanju with Jadeja and Karan. I think that's a good trade.
I think if I'm CSK, I'm biting your hand off for that trade. I am. Where do we sign this, boys? Can we get this? Can we get this down? Because I just think they're winning that trade. Sam Curran to me only works in certain teams, and so you have to build around him. And that doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be the situation that teams want to do that anymore, because he is a fringe player as well. He's one of the weirdest players. Sam Curran, and
Why?
just because
I think he's a form player.
Well, no, I think he's a weird player because you can't. He's not good enough to be a top 6 batter, but he can bat in the top 6. And he's not good enough to be a frontline bowler, but he can bowl, right? And so you end up with a player who only works.
You are just like, did you just wake up from the wrong side of the bed or something? You're just being mean today to everybody.
That's not being mean. That's his role.
No, so he's more than equipped to bowl with a new ball when the ball's like,
yes,
when it's. Yeah, so he's really good. So he can be a frontline bowler for sure. He's not
bowl.
express pace. He's mid 130s, so he can certainly bowl.
Would you give him? Would you set up a team where you were bowling for 4 overs a game?
Yeah, I would, 100%.
Almost every time he's done that, those teams have collapsed, right? Because he's not a 4 overs a game guy, mate. That's not me on the wrong side of the bed. If he was a 4 overs a game guy, he would be the highest paid player in the IPL every single year because of his batting skills. He's just not anywhere near that, mate. He doesn't swing the ball as much anymore. I don't know if you've watched him in the last couple of years. The ball is.
I haven't obviously I watch him when something comes up in the IPL or when he's playing for England in India. Then I watch it a lot more, of course. But obviously, I don't think he's the most. He's the quickest bowler in the shop, but I think he's got skills, and I think he's sorely missing some confidence at this point in time. And we've discussed how much the sport is a confidence game. So I think his potential as a batter and a bowler, is it fully fulfilled? No, not at all. But does he have the potential to be an out and out like full skill player, like an all rounder? Yeah, for sure. I think he's got it. Maybe not in all formats, but I certainly think in white ball cricket.
I actually think these days he might be more suited to red ball cricket than he is to white ball cricket at the moment, which is funny because he obviously pivoted. So last year in the IPL, he played 5 games. He took 1 wicket and averaged 133. Fine, that's a bit of fluke in 5 games, but he went at 11 runs and over. The year before, he went at 10 runs and over. The year before, he went at 10 runs and over. His entire career, he's gone at 9.7 runs and over. You cannot bowl him for 4 overs a game. It does not work, right? There are probably competitions where you can.
Well, how many wickets has he gotten in how many matches?
59 wickets in 64 matches, and an average of 35 at 10 runs and over, or just under 10 runs and over, 9.7.
So clearly, So clearly, someone who is like, and if you just take the last 2 years into consideration, then I think there was an injury at some point 2 years ago, post which he's not really come back to full flow, so to speak, and that can happen, right? And I would actually say someone like Sam can be useful for a lot of teams, but I think he needs to be built up to be someone who takes the onus on. If you remember when he played for Punjab, he was really good with Punjab, and then went back into the auction. I think when there was a big auction there, and then went back and then got bought out by CSK, and then those first couple of years at CSK did really, really well, eh? Unfortunately, we couldn't, like in 2022 when they were rebuilding this guy aside in the mega auction, they couldn't get him back. Yeah. Then he had a poor season.
I think if you have a team where you already have 5 frontline bowlers, and you have a team where you have batting depth, you can use him like a weapon. right? He makes the really good England team that he played in a few years ago, or the CSK team, incredible. But he's the cherry on top of it. When Punjab tried to make him into something else, right? Tried to make him into the center of the team, like the Andre Russell of the team. It doesn't work because you can't guarantee that he can bowl. So if you look at Punjab, the first year he played for them, he averaged 48 with the ball and went at 10 runs and over, right? That's a full season of bowling. That was 2023. That was coming back after the injury, so you might be right. It's partly that. I also think he's just changed his bowling. I think England tried to make him into a wobble ball bowler, and he doesn't swing the ball as much as he used to. So you can't use him the same way that you did when he was young, where you'd bowl him 2 overs up front, 1 in the middle, and then you give him that early death over, right? I don't think you can do that with him anymore. So I don't think he's 4 overs a game as he is at the moment. I think he's a really smart player, though, and I think this is not his final version, right? But at the moment, you can't give him 4 overs, and as a batter, he's pretty consistent actually, but consistently averaging around 25 to 27 with a strike rate of 120 to 130 most years, right? Maybe that's wrong. 130 to 135 most years. That is less than a specialist batter, right? It's less on strike rate and it's less on average. But if he's the cherry on top, and he's in the number 7 or number 8, and he's a swing batter, he's incredible. But where do you bat him in the order is the other tricky bit, because I'm not sure he has a great spot in the batting order that he can play in, right? And I think that's always been his issue if you have a look at him, you know, in cricket right across his career. And I know this for a fact, that early on in his career, he really wanted to bat top order for Surrey, and Surrey just had such a strong side he couldn't fit in. He might have developed slightly different, and he might still become a better batter. But at the moment, if I'm looking at that and I'm like, I should be able to get another 4 or 5 years out of Sanju Samson. I've got a potential captain. I've got a wicket keeper. I've got all these different options available to me. And I've got Sam Curran, who might be really good on a very good side, but maybe doesn't help us at the moment. And I've got Jadeja, who I don't know how many years we think Jadeja has left, but even Jadeja struggles to always bowl his overs out now, right? Like he's not quite automatic the way he once was. I'm not saying it's a bad trade for Rajasthan, because it gets them a couple of guys who can bat in their middle order, which is something that you and I have talked about a bit as well. But I'm just saying, I think if I'm CSK, I'm like, yes, please, I would take that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if I'm not wrong, I think there was a conversation about Jadeja wanting to lead at RR as well, right? I think that's part of the deal.
Did he start there? Was that his first?
Yeah.
Or was it his second team?
Maybe he wants to finish where he started.
Did he trade?
That's where he started.
Yeah.
No, he played for RR first, won a championship there, came to CSK, won multiple championships here, and then now has gone back to RR, which is, I think, a fair ask from a player who's done so much for a franchise, and he probably wants to go back there and try and lead this team to another big championship that he did in his first year of the IPL.
But
so maybe that's what
question,
it is.
I think CSK have won this trade, but I don't think it's a negative for either side. I can see how both sides make out. Because in Rajasthan's case, what they have is a surplus, right? They've got that extra player in their side, and they're moving on from it. And I think that's what you kind of want to do. When you have an overlap of talent, you want to actually strengthen the other parts of your game. Right, and it was either that or Sanju was going to bat down the order, and you and I had already talked about that.
Hate it. I hate the idea of Sanju batting down the order. I think you'll see Sanju and Ruturaj probably opening the batting, or Sanju and Urvil opening the batting. Funnily enough, Ruturaj wants to bat at number 3 in T20 cricket, and I don't understand the logic of that. When he was captain, he wanted to bat at number 3 till he got injured last year in the IPL, and I was like, that is so self-defeating, because you've just kind of created a space for yourself in Indian cricket, right? And you've actually created a space for yourself where you can actually push for a position there, right? And he did this when Virat is still playing, right? And then you're suddenly thinking, what is this kid thinking? And then suddenly he's out in the lurch, and he's just trying to find his way back in, and I hope he does. But ideally, I'd like to see him and Sanju open, and then Urvil at number 3.
That's the message from Shreyant here, isn't it? Of where do you see Samson and Ruturaj batting? They can't both open though, can they?
Why? They can. Why not?
Don't they have? I'm missing someone, obviously. Is it Matre? What's his name?
There's Ayush Matre, and then there's Urvil Patel as well. There are 2 other guys.
Yeah,
they can form the middle. No, you can keep one of them as number 3. So if one of them miss out, one of Sun.
Because you've got
Sanju
Brevis and Dubé as well.
Yeah. So then obviously, one of them will have to wait in the wings, because Urvil came in much later than Ayush Matre. So Ayush has got a certain amount of success opening the batting.
So does then Samson bat at 3?
No, I'd like to keep this I like to. If Sanju, okay, I'm thinking a little from Sanju's perspective here.
Yeah.
If Sanju has to continue to push in for a spot in the Indian team
Agreed.
at the top of the order, he has to open the batting. If he bats anywhere below that number, then he is doing himself a massive disservice, and they will use that as an excuse against him.
But if
to
you were
not
running
keep him in the
CSK,
squad. I would open the batting with Sanju and Rutu.
Really?
And so and ask Sanju to play his natural game. If he does get out, then you have an Urvil Patel to bat. Oh, sorry, Ayush Matre to come in at number 3.
yeah, I think I would have Matre opening with Rutu, and then I would have Samson at first drop. I think that's my pattern.
That's it. He can kiss his international career goodbye.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about his international career. I'm trying to win games because I run CSK.
And you will win games at the top with Sanju at the top of the order. But the thing
I'm not
is,
saying you won't. I'm saying I think that's a better. Pattern to go with. I mean, Roto
then
is the weird one in there. You could just go all out attack.
No.
But no, you're not going to. I'm saying that Chennai has been batting a lot slower than a lot of other teams. They now have a lot of power and a lot of dynamism. They could actually go all out if they wanted to. I don't think they will, and I probably wouldn't do that either. But I'm saying there's something there. Anyway, Varun's come up with a couple of trades for us, and there's one on the screen. Tilak Varma for Ishan Kishan. Are you accepting that trade?
No. If I was who? Mumbai?
If I'm Mumbai, yeah.
No way, dude.
That's how I feel. I think you have to put another player in that trade, don't you?
Yeah, you have no. Even if you add another player, I wouldn't swap Tilak for Ishan plus another guy. Maybe even plus 2 other guys.
Well, it depends on who it is, I suppose. I'm trying to think of, if you look at the Sunrisers squad, who else can they actually get rid of then in that stage? But yeah, I can see why Varun's trying to do this, and there's a cultural aspect to his trade here, but I don't think it works from a cricket perspective.
Those days are dead and gone now. The cultural aspect and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you still get it though, don't you? Like, there was a trade in the NBA a couple of years ago where a Canadian player went back to Canada, and it's like, quite clearly, it's like, we need someone from Canada to be here. So you're always going to get little bits of that, but I don't see this as something that's worth it. And I can't think of another player that they have that is worth sort of throwing back, back to Mumbai, that Mumbai would want. I'm just looking at the list here.
Mumbai need a few pieces, but
what do Mumbai need?
Give
me I'll see if I can match that up with someone.
I would say Mumbai need another finisher.
I think Sunrisers lost a couple of their finishers, didn't they? Yeah, I'm going to say no to this if I'm Mumbai. I think if I'm Sunrisers, I'm pretty happy with this, but I don't think that's going through.
Yeah.
All right, next trade.
You would open the batting with Ishan, and then what happens to your middle order?
Yeah, I don't think that works. All right, next trade, which he's gone absolutely nuts here. So Rutu, who we've been talking about non-stop, in a trade, we've got 2 Delhi options here. So let's start with the Kolkata one, which is Ramandeep and Rinku. It says,
I won't touch this trade with a barge pole.
Now, why won't you touch this trade?
Why would you?
Which team are you talking as here? I need to know where you're...
As CSK, why would I even trade a high quality player who's potentially going to lead for me over the next 5 to 7 years for 2 other players? Like, you have to understand, MS Dhoni is not going to play forever for CSK, right? So he's going to, maybe this is his last year and then he's done. You need someone to take care of this side. You need someone to lead this squad for 5 years to other championships as well, right?
Okay, I just throw something at you though? I'm assuming that this trade is on the back of Sanju going to CSK. So you have got other leadership coming in, and you do have 5 years worth of leadership there, and you also have another top order player, as we've just discussed. This gets you, let's go with the Kolkata angle here. This gets you 2 incredible finishers.
Unless it's for another captain, I don't see.
But why do you need another captain if you got Sanju?
because you have to understand that people will always try, always not try, but they will always compare the next CSK captain with an MS Dhoni. That's going to happen, right? No matter how much you say, don't try and fit into anybody's shoes. The crowd, the narrative, the supporters, the fans will always peg you up against that, right? Will measure you up against that. That's going to happen, right? And that's how news sells, and that's even the media outlets are going to be pushing that narrative out as well. So you want to have more than just one solid player to kind of say, to weigh your options even, and to even support each other, because you probably need two leaders instead of one to fill those shoes up. That's my thinking.
Yeah, I can see all that. I from a cricket perspective, I can still see the idea of moving him. I think if you're going to move him based on, because the other two ones are obviously Stubbs is in there, Rizvi, and Smashatosh is in there as well. I just think
That's one kid I love her.
Yeah, but I think if you're going to make the trade, for me, and I like Stubbs a lot, but I just think if you look at their team, it makes more sense to me to make the trade for Ramandeep and Rinku if you're going to make that trade. And I think it opens up their top order a little bit more, CSK. But I also
They're not
understand
moving
your
God's
leadership.
plan from anywhere. Yeah. KK are not moving God's plan. And now, especially after Abhishek Nair has become coach, even more so, because he's one of Abhishek's favorite boys.
Yeah.
It's helped him develop as a cricketer. So it's a nice conversational piece, but that stuff's not happening.
No.
Not KK.
There's not as many. I think we've seen this with the IPL. I don't think there's as many kind of fun trades available this year. But what we'll do
what
is.
team needs an opener of Ruturaj's caliber?
But you're saying you can't trade him anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but even if you want to entertain this conversation, what teams actually need an opener of Rutu's caliber?
Well, I would suggest Delhi and Kolkata.
No, why? Because if I'm not wrong, isn't that KL Rahul thing happening for KKR? Isn't that conversation on?
I don't know where we are with that, but that means they do need the opener if they're trying to find one. So this is another way of getting the.
I know
opener.
that they are letting go of Ajinkya Rahane.
Are you breaking news?
No, listen, I'm on a lot of these Telegram groups, quietly, stealthily watching what's going on, what people are saying. And
Be careful when you say you're on a lot of Telegram groups, but I know what
cricket
you mean.
groups, Baba. Cricket groups. Listen, don't marginalize Telegram to what you're marginalizing it to.
No. I'm just saying Telegram groups specifically have nothing wrong with Telegram. Yeah, I think if you're in Delhi, so Faf's about 58 years old. Karan Nair played last year. Fraser McGurk hasn't really done it. Like they do kind of need top order batting, right? So I think that is why they're there.
Abhishek Porel is gonna isn't Abhishek Porel someone who opens the batting for them?
Yeah, but they need two of them.
Let's
don't
pull
they?
out that squad.
Don't they need people at both ends?
They have too many options at the top of the order, and I think that is causing them proper confusion also. Baba.
Delhi?
Yeah.
You think they have too many options at the top of the order?
Yeah. Wait. Let me just pull out Delhi's
Abhishek definitely.
Listen, Faf du Plessis can open the batting.
Yeah,
Karun Nair can open the batting.
44, you have to have a backup anyway.
Does not matter. He is a part of the squad. KL Rahul opens the batting. Abhishek Porel opens the batting. Sami Rizvi opens the batting as well.
Yeah.
Who else? That's five for you right there.
That's five. But if
Harry
you go
Brook
back,
in T20 cricket, Fraser McGurk opens the batting.
well, Fraser McGurk's going to get the arse, right? I'm assuming that Faf at 40 is going to be a backup and may start, right? But is not 100% to be there. So not all these players are going to be there. If you're looking though, there's a big difference between you saying that some of these guys can open the batting and saying that this is going to be a good opening partnership. And if I have the opportunity to upgrade my opening partnership, I might look at that. And that's, I think, where it comes in.
If Delhi aren't trading KL Rahul away to KKR, which is why I think the Ajinkya Rahane release conversations even happening, then I think the ideal opening partnership there would be KL Rahul and Faf du Plessis. And I would say number 3, Karun Nair, number 4, Tristan Stubbs, and get Tristan to keep. Um,
Well, you don't
that's
want
what I would
Abhishek
say.
Paral.
As in, he's a good kid. I think he's like, but just doesn't like something about him doesn't do it for me. You know what I mean?
I
Like
kind of like him. He reminds me of Tripathi.
uh,
You've
Rahul
got
Tripathi.
you've got a solid Indian player who has a bit of explosion to his game. In his case, a secondary skill. All these sorts of little things that you get out of him. So I think you always try and fit a player like that into your lineup because you're never going to have to pay a fortune for him, and he does a lot of jobs. Where you bat him though is more interesting, I suppose.
Yeah,
But
but the
yeah,
thing is with him, he can only open the batting for you. There's no flexibility that he brings to you, right? Because like, does he augur you confidence when the spinners are bowling for him to hit big sixes?
he's got a big strike rate for, I'd have to have a look at him in closer to see where that strike rate sort of comes from. Anyway,
Yeah.
you've said no to this trade.
I wouldn't touch Ashutosh Sharma. I think anyone who's got Ashutosh Sharma has stolen a high quality player.
I'm with you.
That guy for me is potentially the next finisher in the Indian cricket team. Like I
I
would
think he's
like.
fantastic. I'm
He's
massive,
phenomenal,
massive
dude.
fan.
Phenomenal.
Okay, let's get on to retain and release. Okay,
Okay.
who are you retaining here? Who are you releasing? Tripathi's probably finished, by the way. Even though I've just said really nice things about him, it's probably you let him go back into the pool at that point. How do you feel about Deepak Huda? He's had one of the weirdest careers in the IPL, I think, of almost anyone.
Yeah. As in like it's been
Remember
definitely
that year he just got paid lots of money, and I was like at the draft, at the trade, the auction. I'll get it right eventually. Basically saying, "What? Why is he getting paid this much?" And everyone's like, "No, you're wrong." And he went on to play for India, I think, after that, didn't he? And then he's just crashed back down again. Fascinating player.
So Deepak's had is beginning to have a pretty decent domestic season.
He's had some good numbers over the last couple of years, hasn't he? As well.
Domestically, he's scoring runs. Listen, I feel for the guy because the last 2 years have been like, here's a guy with immense ability who's played for India, but suddenly it's like he's forgotten how to hold a bat and score a run. Not hold a bat, but score a run. And I've noticed, I've been following the Ranji Trophy scores quite keenly, and I've noticed that he scored 197 or 200 or something like that in a Ranji Trophy game.
He's got a
So you,
ridiculous first-class record. Have you ever looked it up?
yeah,
He almost averages 50. It's better than Sai Sudarshan. It's ridiculous. But also, he's one of those people that I think that there was this idea that he was going to become a bowler. And I don't know how you felt, but I was always like, he's not going to become a bowler, right? Like,
off spinner, no,
no.
he didn't have the variations. So
I remember with Jacob Bethel, you know how I don't rate his bowling. Like, if you told me in 7 years' time that Jacob Bethel could hold up an end, I'd be like, I think that makes sense. There was nothing. I never saw Huda bowl and think to myself, he's ever going to be able to hold up an end. Like he just doesn't. He
yeah,
doesn't have that end. Okay, so
yeah.
who are
Let me
you
read out his
retaining?
scores.
Who are you releasing? Stop pissing
His
about.
his scores from domestic cricket this year: 130, 5 and 28, 248, 17 and 18 not out. That was his last 5 games. Yeah,
That was against
248.
Mumbai, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was against Mumbai, 248. Yeah, there you go. It's tough, eh? I would say I would definitely release Patirana because Patirana has been woefully out of form for the last 18 months. And for some reason, like, sometimes you can look at a player's face and you can tell that something's amiss and he's searching, and it feels like this kid's searching for something and he's not able to figure out the solutions to his bowling woes at this point in time.
I think he
Devin
changed his
Conway,
action and he just can't
yeah,
do it anymore. I think you're right.
I think that's what's
Devon
happening.
Conway, I would release, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's tough, eh? Because now with Urvil Patel and with Ayush Matre, do you need a Devin Conway, which would free up a lot more money for you to get other, perhaps better players? I would probably let him go.
I think Conway came in and he's one of the few left-handers that likes the ball going away from him,
Away
more than
from
coming into him. And once everyone's worked
He
that out,
struggles with the ball coming in.
yes. So once everyone worked that out, he struggles. Rahul Tripathi talked him up. I think he's going. I think you can probably release all these players. Doesn't mean. I think the two Indian players.
You can have Deepak Hooda for backup sake.
1.7 crores, fair. If you're saying he's making runs and he's back in form, you might keep him just to see if that works. It's not taking up a lot of your salary cap, is it?
Yeah, and people are gonna see a lot of the casual fans are gonna say, you know what, it doesn't make sense at all. Why you were keeping him? He's not in good form. Like, you have to understand cricket from that perspective, that sometimes you go through a period of time where you don't score runs and things don't work for you and you feel lost, you lose a lot of confidence. And you work really hard in the off season and you start scoring runs and the confidence slowly comes back. And then when you've stayed with the side, when the teams bet on you for a particular period of time and hope that you would come good, for 1.7 crores, I would take that punt on Deepak Hooda.
Also, he's 30, right? Like, if he started to make runs now, there's a possibility he's just reaching his peak. And so for 1.7 crore, you're like, it's worth us sticking around. I think I'd probably get rid of all three of the others. Patarana, I will still pick him up, but I don't want to pay him 13 crore.
For cheap, no, not for 13 crores. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'll say go for him, but not now.
Delhi. So we have Natarajan, Faf, Mitch Stark, and Jake Fraser McGurk. You have to let Jake Fraser McGurk go, don't you? That's just...
No, he goes. I would keep Faf. I would keep Stark. And I'd keep Natarajan. You wouldn't keep Stark?
No, I don't think so. He's interesting. He's retired from international T20s, hasn't he? But he wants to play in the IPL this year. So I think this is probably his last year. I think you've got a better left arm seamer than him in the side at the moment, though. Like, if they're both fully fit, and obviously Natarajan's almost never fully fit. I just picked Natarajan over him. I just don't think you need both of them on that amount of money unless Stark has said, I'm going to turn up, I'm going to be 100% fit, and I'm going to put everything in because I want to have one great season. And that's fair enough. But he's not. He's become, this is the weird thing about Mitchell Stark. For years, he was a very average red ball bowler and a brilliant and one of the world's best white ball bowlers. And he's slowly got better at the red ball and slowly got worse at the white ball over the last few years. So I just think it's a bit of a push there.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I think he's equally good in both balls.
No, he's not. It's not even comparable. He's one of the greatest white ball bowlers in the history of the game. His average with the red ball is 29. I'm talking just red ball, not pink ball, by the way. Just red ball. His average is 29. He's a good bowler, but no, he hasn't always been great.
What's his average in white ball cricket? In one-day cricket?
Oh, I don't know. It would be 21 or 22 or something ridiculous like that. I think the only bowler who's I think him, Shami, and Waqar Younis are the three best strike bowlers. I don't know if Shoaib Akhtar's up there as well. In white ball cricket, his average is 24, yeah. So 5 points better.
You said Shoaib Akhtar is one of the top 3 white ball bowlers?
No. I think strike bowlers is what I'm talking about. I can't remember the numbers, but I know Mohammad Shami, Stark, and Waqar Younis are the 3 that I think if you look at their strike bowling in white ball cricket, they've been on a completely different level than everyone else. But yeah, I think 11.7 crores it's a push. I agree with you. Faf on 2 crores, I've got no problems with.
Yeah, why not?
Jake Fraser McGurk,
I'd let
you can't
him go.
pay.
Bye-bye.
I don't know why they paid that much for him in the first place. Right?
Who's coach?
Yeah, I know. But it's not one team. That means 2 teams wanted him though, yeah? So do you know what I mean?
Who's coaching the other side?
Yeah,
Who's coaching the other
that might also be true. I just, that one didn't make any sense for me at all. He's been in slightly better form of recent times in the A cricket. But yeah, I would keep the top 2 and you could talk me around to Mitch Stark. Mitch Stark, I could understand it, but Jake's going. All right, Kolkata Knight Riders. Andre Russell, Sunil Narine, Ajinkya Rahane. Well, you've already got rid of him, so he's easy. Venki Nokia.
Listen, I didn't get rid of him. I'm just reading news that says that.
I believe you made the decision. That's how I heard you say it.
Decision.
You make all decisions. Everything runs through Robbie in cricket. Everyone needs to know this. I'm assuming
Andre and Sunil. No, I'm not getting into those 2. Venki Iyer, I would actually love to keep, but I would actually get rid of him. Not get rid of him. Release him and try and buy him back for a lower price.
Yep, agreed. That was a huge mistake, paying him that much money. And absolutely
once you went past 15 crores, it's like, okay, guys, you need to probably need to pull back a little bit and just reassess how much you actually want this player. And if you are going to back him with that much, right, then you actually want to give him a proper senior, like a role, right? And that would have given the lad, the opportunity to actually prove his prowess as a leader in the squad. But they didn't give him that opportunity. So now they have no choice but to let him go, and that will give them the opportunity to have 40 crores, I think, in the auctions, from what I read in the news.
It would give it.
I'd let go.
It's a huge amount.
I'd get rid of Andrik Nokia as well.
Well, he's interesting because at 6 crores, you can talk me into Andrik Nokia easily, right? Because I just think that when he's at his best, he's almost unplayable, right? But he's just started playing again, and his figures are this is in the lower level of South African cricket. 2 for 27, 3 for 18, 2 for 21. It wasn't that the last time he played in the IPL, he went none for 60 from his 4, and he was getting smashed by everyone. And then I think did he have a good World Cup in the middle of all that when he was fully fit? So if you could tell me he was going to be fully fit, I'm like, 6 crores is fair. But is there another young bowler out there I don't have to pay 6 crores who is available to me? That's the question. So I'd have to look at the whole map with Nokia, because there really isn't
Nokia,
another.
One of my things about Nokia and KKR is that, see, I know Eden Gardens like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
And I know players of Andre Nokia's caliber, bounce, pace is going to go for a lot of runs in those venues.
That makes sense. So let him go to another team.
Yeah, you want him to go. See, he's not going to be useful for you. He's actually going to be maybe potential liability. He'll probably win you 1 or 2 games, but you want uncharacteristic bowlers like Andre Russell, who can who will probably give away runs but will always get you wickets. The thing about Andre is he might leak 10 runs and over, 8 runs, 9 runs and over, but he always gets you wickets, dude. That's the thing about him. Right. Yeah. And irrespective of even if he's gone for 13 runs and over, he'll get you 2 wickets.
Yeah. And he basically does go at 13 runs and over now as well. So I mean, he's got to that point where he literally is doing that. No, I think that's fair. I still think there's value in Nokia as a player.
There is value. I think
you have to make sure he's fit. If he's not fit,
great in an LSG.
If he's not fit on the day of the auction, I'm not taking him. Do you know what I mean? Like I must need to see video of him steaming in the nets from that day with someone holding it. Do people still have newspapers? Someone holding a newspaper up, proving to me it's that day. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, for 1 or 2 crores, I don't mind him. He's a very experienced player now as well. So I think we're probably getting rid of the bottom 3 here, and the top 2. In some ways, they're also eventually they're going to have to move on from them. It's probably next year. Yeah. Lucknow Super Giants release and retain Rishabh Pant.
Did Varun make this list?
This Deepak, isn't it? Didn't Deepak put this in the group?
Who made this?
I think Deepak put it in.
But Deepak put it in the group. But why only Rishabh Pant? There were so many other players that I think can be. I don't
know. Maybe it didn't print properly or something. I don't know. I'm retaining Rishabh Pant because I also wouldn't have paid him 27 crores. So I am confused.
No, I'd retain him.
Yeah, but do you agree he's overpaid?
No, I thought it was always going to be between him and Shreyas Iyer, who's going to be the highest earning players, and KL Rahul. Let me not forget him. I thought KL would go for a much bigger chunk than he went for. I think he went for 14 or something, and I thought that was a little less. Someone of KL's caliber. And Shreyas even went for what, 17, 18? I thought he'd go.
No, he went for 26, 27 as well, didn't he? They both went for a fortune. 20. No, they were.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they all went for mid to high 20s, didn't they? I mean, Venki was obviously the other one. It was chaos. Do you remember? We were all sitting there going, "What's happening?"
KL is the one I think who didn't get his due. To be honest, I thought KL should have gotten a lot more.
Okay, can I read you Rishabh Pant's numbers from last year?
Doesn't matter, bro.
He made 100 in one game.
But you have to understand.
And 269 runs. Yeah.
This is not just a cricket decision. This is also a business decision.
Yeah, no. Look, I'm Team Rishabh Pant. And he did have 2 really decent years before that. But it is a lot of money to spend on someone if you're not getting a lot back. I know you're right. You're right, it's a business decision. You also have to get something back from it, though, don't you?
I don't think that's how owners look at investing in players. They're investing in brands that builds their brand as well, and they
Okay.
hope that these two brands can grow together. And one is,
Do you
are they
think
a high
Rishabh's
caliber
T20
cricketer who's a
brand
match
is
winner?
very high though?
It's not about the T20 brand; it's the overall brand. It's the
Yeah,
personality.
yes and no,
I'm
because
telling you, I know it doesn't make sense from a sporting perspective, but like, you have to understand this is a sporting business. So a lot of these decisions are not just
no,
sporting
I get
ones. They're
that.
also,
That I'm 100%
know
with you
that.
on that. But specifically, I think his brand in T20 cricket, I think it's lower than where it should be. This is my personal opinion on it. But
Yeah,
I
because he's batting the wrong position. I think he's being an idiot when
also he
with him
tried to
batting.
become an anchor for all those years when Ricky Ponting got in his ear. Like so many things have gone wrong with his career.
He should just go there and smash the ball at the top of the order.
Thank you. Then he's worth
That's
27
it.
crores, and I would give him extra.
Yeah.
I would keep him though. All right,
Yeah.
Deepak Chahar, Mumbai Indians, retain or release?
Again, like with Deepak, I love the guy, but I think it's about how fit he's going to be. He's had consistent injury concerns, which has been one of those like nagging points for him. I'm telling you, one of the hardest working guys in a dressing room, works really hard, does everything right as a fast bowler, pulls up these uncanny injuries that just come out of nowhere, complete left field. He would have done everything right up to the tournament, and then suddenly something happens in the tournament. So
I don't think he had
I
a
think
bad
he's
year
fit.
last year, and I thought he might.
No, I didn't think so.
And the reason I thought he might is because, if I remember correctly, when he got the new ball, he was really good. And when he got the second over ball, he wasn't as good. But they gave him the new ball a few times, which meant that Trent Bolt doesn't get the new ball, who's even better than him. But the issue is you're paying 9 crore for a guy who had a decent year last year, who is going to be about 33 and a half when he comes in here.
So I think he's still got a couple of years left in him. And to be honest,
I think it's fine. I would probably have traded him for another bowler who matches better with Bolt. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Try and get another 9 crore bowler, right, of a similar age, and just say, look, we'll just do a swap between our two teams because you need this kind of bowler and we need this kind of bowler. That's the only issue I have with him. But I think 9 crore at 33 coming off last year, it's fine. Like I'm not.
They ended up at what, 5th? Yes, last year. 5th last year. Yeah, Mumbai.
Yeah. So the year before he
keep him.
played, he struggled a little bit more. Although his economy was good, he's never gone really for a lot of runs, right? Like he does his job really, really well.
Yeah, he does.
The Kings, Glenn Maxwell. Well, that's a retain for you, Robbie. Marco Janssen and Chahal. I think at 7 crores, there's no way I'm selling Marco Janssen. I give him 2 more years and then I'll make a decision. But for 7 crores, I'm more than happy to take that chance.
Yeah. I would keep Marco Janssen. I think he's a high quality player. I think I'd keep Yuzi Shell. I think he's
18 crores?
underrated. Yeah. Dude, what's wrong with you, man?
Well, no, here's my point.
The only reason he's not in the Indian team, even today, is not because of his bowling, because they know that there's no space for him, given the fact that he's a Kuldeep type of bowler and a Varun Chakravarti type of bowler, and unfortunately finds himself behind those two. Otherwise, this guy will walk into any, and I mean any international squad in the world.
He is also
including
atomically.
Australia.
Well, here's one of the reasons Australia wouldn't like him. It's the same reason India don't like him, though. He gives you no batting or bowling, right?
Yeah. No batting, you mean, not bowling.
No fielding, sorry, I meant. No batting or fielding, which is one of the other issues he has. Not as big an issue in the IPL as it is in other leagues. But last year, 16 wickets at 27, so really good. Going at 9.5 and over. He went at 9.5 the year before, an average of 30. It's good, but
but you also have to understand, like, we have to look at the personal angles as well, right? He had a lot of that personal stuff going on whilst he was playing all of this, right?
Yeah.
And he was in the middle of all of that furore while everything is going on. So that's going to have an impact on your performance a little bit.
There's definite signs that he's not the automatic player he was. I was his biggest fan. He was averaging like 20 in the IPL for years, and people weren't talking him up as a great spinner, and I just never understood it. He's not that bowler anymore. And I think that's the 18 crore mark is where I get a little bit iffy with that, because he's going to be 1 year older, but he's going to take wickets. That's my guess with him. He's going to take wickets.
Again, this is not just cricket. This is also a business decision. There's a lot he adds to the team. So I think this is fair for him. Glenn Maxwell, I'd actually keep him. at that price.
I think at that price you do, right? Like I was making fun of you
that.
before because I know, but I think you do keep him at 4.2 because you don't have to play him every game, and also his bowling's become so good that like you can actually move him in the order a little bit and use him
I
as
think I
you
said
can
this
almost
last
use him
year
as like a Sunil Narayan pinch hitter.
Yeah, I actually used this in the com box last year. I said, I think he's bowling a lot better than he's batting right now. So utilize him a lot more as a bowler, especially with a new ball, because I think people kind of take their chances against him, and he can be an uncanny bowler who can get those wickets for you in that first 6 overs.
He's actually quite funny when you think about it because he can be a dreadfully stupid batter, but he's actually a really smart bowler. There's so much going on in Glenn Maxwell's head. Obviously I was the analyst when he was captain at Melbourne Stars, and like watching him really closely on the ground, you're just like, there's too much going on. Like, he really is like, he just needs to just sometimes just make a decision where he's making 10 decisions. And you see that with his batting, where he's bowling, he's like, okay, well, this guy doesn't like it here, so I'm just going to keep bowling it here until he works that out, and then I'm going to go to play it. Like, it's really interesting. But yeah, I think you'd make a claim for all three of those. I like that. Rajasthan Royals, Hetmeyer, Jofra Archer.
Keep Jofra Archer. You can release Shimron Hetmeyer.
Don't you have to do that trade in order to do that? Unique, because otherwise you're really making that middle order of Rajasthan naked again.
No, it was pretty naked last year itself.
Yeah.
They just didn't have they depended so heavily on Shimron Hetmeyer. They really need to look at picking up some good finishers for themselves. And
look, he's had 2 bad
years. If I were
years
them, I would have actually. But I think they love Shimron, so I think they won't trade him or they won't release him.
It's interesting though, because he just hasn't managed to, like, if you have a look in, was it 2021, 2022, 2023, he's averaging over 35, basically almost 40, at a strike rate of like 155, 160 in that period, right? Last 2 years, he's averaging 20 with a strike rate of about 150-ish, right? So the strike rate hasn't changed massively, which is good, but he's just not making the runs for them. And so if you bring Jadeja and Curran into that side, that does give you a little bit more flexibility with how you use him if you want to. But if Curran comes in, that's another overseas slot. So I don't know if, you'd have to look at the entire makeup of this side to see how that goes. I think I don't think he's an 11-core player right at the moment, but I also know he's the sort of player that Rajasthan will get rid of, and we know next year he'll go somewhere and make 400 runs at a strike rate of 200. Do you know what I mean? Like, he can do that and just make you look like an idiot. But I'm not sure I'd pay him that.
I like, for me, I really think he's a high quality player, but I don't think he's someone who can single-handedly manage all the workload at the death. You need another strong piece around him. Like with the likes of a Dhoni, with the likes of a Kyron Pollard, you didn't need a strong piece around him. You need someone who can even just support him, just make sure there's a partnership that's built there. But with someone like him, you probably need someone to go, if not as hard as him, just a little less than that, for him to become as effective. And you saw him do that in his previous teams, didn't you? Was it Delhi where he did that really well?
I wonder if now at this stage in his career, also he's not a closing batter anymore. He's probably a number 4 to 5, and
he's
needs to
also
face
not someone
more
who's
balls.
worked really hard on his fitness, right? I think that's probably something.
I think that's fair to say. I think
stronger.
didn't Ian Bishop say that to him on air once? You know, when they had the microphones to the players in one of those leagues. I can't remember if it was. I think it was the CPL, and he literally just called him out about his fitness on air. Like, he's not the fittest guy in the world, Shimron Hetmeyer. Like, you look at the levels of different professionalism between him and Nicholas Pooran, right? Like, Pooran goes out of his way to like maximize himself, and Shimron doesn't feel like that kind of guy, right? Like, he's had lots of different issues.
Back.
But yeah. Anyway, so Jofra's a no-brainer for you?
Yeah.
I think 12.5. That seems fine. I mean, you are punting on his fitness a little bit, but he's looked fitter in the last 9 months than he's looked in years. So
yeah,
I'm okay with that.
There is no way I would get and let him go.
Liam Livingston for RCB. Should he stay or should he go, Robbie?
Go.
Yeah, I just don't. He's lost confidence, I think. I don't think he trusts himself as much as he used to. I think Liam Livingston was at his best where he didn't think, and he's played like Bam Bam, right? And now he thinks his way through it, and he's getting himself in trouble. Rakshik Dar, who had a lot of high hopes and hasn't quite gone anywhere. 6 crore. Are you interested? Are you not interested?
So Rasik, again, we'll have to see what the new venue in Bangalore is going to be like, what the conditions that are going to be
yeah, I
like,
hadn't
because
thought
they're not
about
going to
that.
be playing in Chinnaswamy anymore. So will he be effective in those conditions? Will he bowl well in the ground? What is that ground going to be like? Because Chinnaswamy was a high-scoring venue, but what is the new venue going to be like? It's a lot of changes for a championship-winning team, and they also have this cloud of new owners coming in, old owners going out, so a lot in transition. So, notwithstanding any of that, I just keep Rasik Dar in for now. I can't see. I'm not someone who
25-year-old who hasn't played a lot of games. It's probably 6 crore is maybe
also doing
slightly too
domestic.
much if you are only going to play him for 2 or 3 games. But if you think he's going to play 5 or 6, then I think 6 crore is fair. Does that make sense for an Indian
Yeah.
bowler?
Yeah, I'm just gonna see what he's doing, what he's done, what he's done
In first-class cricket?
in first-class cricket this year.
Yeah, so he took 2 wickets in his last game, and then he had a none for only in I think he might have got injured in that game by the look of it, or was rained off. He took 4 wickets in the other game, in a couple of T20s. He's been fine without being spectacular looking at this. So it doesn't look like... And he made a 45 not out in one of those games as well. He looks fine, but he doesn't look like he's on the verge of playing 5 or 6 games in the IPL, to me, based on these numbers. So that's the decision I'm making, right? Of like, is there another younger bowler I can take a similar punt on, who I can pay maybe even slightly less, and will play 3 games, and I don't have to pay them the 6 crore. That's the only difference I'm looking at there. Sunrisers, Harshal Patel and Mohammad Shami. Oh, bang bang! Robbie's getting rid of both of them.
No, I'm not. Harshal Patel. No, I keep both of them.
I think so. I
keep both of them.
I don't have any issue with that. I think the problem with Harshal Patel is it's
And now that Shami isn't playing the test matches, his tail will be up, buddy.
yeah. No, I'm fine with that as well. Harshal Patel, I'm just trying to look at what he did last year in the IPL with the ball. Where are we? 13 games, yeah, averaging 27. Yeah, I think that's a steal. 8 crore for someone who can average 27 with the ball. Obviously, he's going to go for runs, but he doesn't go for like Andre Russell runs, does he? Like he goes for a socially acceptable amount of runs. All right, let's get to some super chats and finish up. I think we got through a couple before anyway. Naveen says, would CFK have traded Jadeja to Rajasthan if the impact player rule didn't exist in the IPL? I like that, Naveen. That's a very good question. Because essentially, all-rounders aren't worth as much now as they were in the old system.
No,
Because you don't use your all-rounders the way that you used to, right? Because of the extra player. So in the old days, all-rounders worth so much more. I still think a lot of it just depends on what your thought process is on how many more years Jadeja will play. If you're trading him, surely you've asked
IPL
it.
cricket. See, the thing is, in IPL cricket, I think he'd play good 3 years more.
Okay. So if
Guys,
he's an
anyway,
all-rounder who can play 3 more years, you probably don't include him in the Samson trade then, do you? I'm talking about before the impact player rule. Whereas now...
You probably still would, as in if he wants to go.
Yeah, no, if he wants to go is a different thing. We're just talking purely from a cricket perspective though, aren't we?
From a cricket perspective, maybe not.
Yeah,
maybe not.
I think it's a little bit different. Soham says, LA 28 schedule is out. Cricket from July 12th to the 29th. Going to be there, Robbie?
Well, I don't know. Are we going to be there?
Are you,
Jarrod?
Have you ever been to an Olympics?
No.
So I've been to 2. I've been to Sydney and I've been to London. And one thing I'll say about LA is I've spent a bit of time in LA. I think Olympics probably work best in walking cities. London is a walking city. Sydney, not quite as much. LA is definitely not a walking city. So I'd be very fascinated to see how it goes, from that point of view. But you really want it to be in a place where you can kind of walk from venue to venue. So, because what you want to be able to do, if you can, is get as many tickets to as many random things so you can experience the whole thing. But yeah, if we can be there, me and Robbie will be there. I don't think there's any issues on that. If anyone wants to sponsor us that far out, we'll also taking calls. Siddharth says, what are announced as KKR coach?
Assistant coach.
Oh, I was going to say, you heard in my voice that I was reading that as head coach, right? I thought this actually hurts me because I thought he was a really good commentator when he started doing commentary, and then it kind of faded away and no one hired him anymore. I was like, hey, when you hear someone and you're just like, oh, that person should be a commentator, right? That's what I felt when I heard Watto. And if you'd have told me before he commentated that he'd be a good commentator, I would have slapped you in the face, Robbie. But once I heard him, I was like, it's natural to him. He really gets it. And so to me, it's a shame because I think he should be a commentator, but it feels like he wants to be a coach. He had that, he had a podcast as well for a little while, didn't he? And I think that was about, it was about strategy and mindset and things like that. So a bit like you, he likes all that.
He wrote a book on mindset as well.
That's right. Sorry, you're right. It was a book. Are you happy with him as an assistant coach?
Yeah, I like it. I like the fact, I genuinely like this trend of having an Indian head coach and a foreigner assistant coach.
It doesn't bother me what nationality you are as long as you can coach.
No, for me, I like it, especially the Indian Premier League. I think in the IPL, I actually quite like that because I think you're only dealing with eight
I see that
foreign players, and then you're dealing the rest of 17 players are Indians. And you want someone to communicate to the larger group is in a language that they understand as well. Because as much as the boys try to understand what they're saying, a lot of it is lost in translation.
Yeah.
And and there's some of them are really high quality players. Now I can tell you for a fact that if for the likes of Rinku Singh, if say Abhishek Nair wasn't there, say to fill the gaps up, you probably wouldn't have seen, we wouldn't have experienced Rinku's potential.
I just think that we need to get beyond worrying about what nationality a coach is. I think you have to always understand the languages and everything else.
I agree. I agree if there's a common language, but here the whole thing is in the Indian diaspora, like even in, say, for example, Delhi right now, right? Natarajan's there. Right? Yeah. How one communicates to Natarajan is going to be very critical as to what he understands and how he feels about his own game.
I think that's
you need to have people in positions of power within the structures of the team who are Indian, so that when it comes from them, then it's valued, and then what is received by the player is something that makes them feel good about their own game or themselves. Right? The communication is then clear. Right? So you want to have Indians in the IPL, especially. Like if you're say playing in America where the common language is English and everyone there understands English, but here that's not the case. There are different people from different parts of the country who don't.
I understand what you're saying, but if you look at European football, that is not how it works, right? In European football, you get the best coach. They could be from any country, and they all speak different. No, just listen for 1 second. They all speak different languages, right? And it's up to the team then to make sure that each individual player is maximized throughout that by being professional off the field, right? And getting those messages
again,
across.
Culturally, it's so different.
I understand that it's culturally different, but my point being is that's where cricket needs to get to. We can't have this situation that you have in Pakistan where it's like, we need an overseas coach. Then they get an overseas coach. And then it's like, we need a local coach. That's all nonsense, is my point. I'm with you on the languages specifically because I think that's a really important thing, and communication in general. But I don't think that there's a thing where you need a coach who happens to come from a country. You need the right coach for the right squad, right? And then that's how you need to match these things. Yeah. And unfortunately, as you and I know, that is not how a lot of coaches are hired, whether they be Australian, Indian, New Zealand, etc. And that's where the issues come in because. I don't know if you've ever been involved in this, but I've been involved in scouting for head coaches, right? And it's incredible how little the people who hire the head coaches think about what they need. They don't even understand the concepts of what they need in more often than not. So that's where cricket needs to get to.
But it's not, because it's not, and that's the thing, right? Who are the ones making those decisions?
Yeah.
The ones making those decisions are not people who are in whose primary role in life is the sport, right? They are administrators, and
Yeah.
they're
Or owners.
excellent and or geniuses in their at their own profession, but now they're in charge of a team, right? You want to have someone speak the right language to them to make them understand what's required
Exactly.
and all of that, and then get in their thoughts. But again, I think the final say should be with the expert who's actually helping or who's actually co-leading that space with this administrator.
I
And then
agree.
it
We should
makes
pick all coaches, Robbie. Andy's got a message here. I don't know if anyone else is in the group who's watching. One of our producers can pick it up. I can't find his one. But there's a different Andy. We've got double Andys here who says, if you're GT, would you trade Rashid for Tilak? Rashid is in his 30s and has back issues. I would not make that trade. We can hear from the distance that Robbie would also wouldn't do that.
I would not.
I've got
would
some
not.
concerns about Rashid at the moment. I just don't think he's bowling the way that he used to. So I would not make that trade. I love the idea though. Rohit says, Jarrod, put some respect to Robbie's name. Never. Smashing Pakistan bowlers half his age. Love you, Robbie. Did you make some runs in the Hong Kong thing? I didn't actually follow it. Did you do okay?
One game.
That's
Just
all.
one game. Yeah, it was. It was.
Was it
shit show
fun?
Otherwise, I love Hong Kong as a place, but the tournament was like for us, like just genuinely just not good.
Yep.
Because you can't give 130 runs every game and then expect to win them in 36 deliveries. It's going to be really hard to do that.
I
We
mean,
had, what, two
mathematically, it sounds
bowlers?
horrendous.
Yeah, two bowlers, out of which one is an all-rounder, and then two genuine bowlers, and one all-rounder, and then, thank God I didn't bowl this year. Last year I got hit for 6 sixes.
Oh, yes.
like-
Now that I did know. My
Yeah.
God, how much fun would I have had with that last
Yeah,
year?
fuck. I was like,
Someone says, when JFM was sold to DC for 9 crores, I had sent a super chat and you, me and Robbie thought it could be the bargain of the decade. Jake Fraser. Yeah, I think it was.
alas,
Yeah,
that's true.
I think there was an argument for if he was going to be the transformative batter, then spending 9 crores on him is not like a crazy amount when you would have to spend like 6 crores on another
You have to
solid
look at it in
international.
context.
Yeah.
You have to look at it in context. Now, see, where today we're speaking from the context of what? A mini auction.
Yeah.
Like this happened in the context of a mega auction. So, in the context of a mega auction, would you pay 9 crores for a Jake Fraser McGurk who's done exceptionally well the previous year? Sure, you would. Right? It's common sense.
Yeah.
Right?
But you also don't pay more because you've seen his form since, right? Like, so
now you know his true value. I think he's a good buy for 3 or 4 or 5 crores, right? And then if he earns his straps after that and does perform really well, then you will see his value growing as the years go by as well, because he's also a really young kid. He's 21, 22 years old.
really young, right? And he looks young emotionally, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes when you watch him as well.
Yeah.
I think with him, what you do is, this is where scouts are really important in these leagues, and you need to be watching all the different leagues.
Didn't he back out of the last year? He withdrew the last year, didn't he?
I thought he
He
played.
withdrew the last year. No,
he
but
might have
withdrew at some
withdrawn.
point.
He might have decided not to come back after the conflict. But I think he was involved in the first part of the year, unless I'm misremembering. But I think what you do with him is what happened with Brevis, right? You just keep a really good eye, and once you think it's clicked, right, you bring him in, even if it's halfway through the year as a replacement player, right? I think that's the best way forward for him at the moment. You don't want to spend a fortune on him because you don't know what you're going to get. If no Nokia, what are KKR's options to get a fast strike bowler? They had Stark, and then they got Nokia as replacement. But who can they target next?
So
interesting,
I think in KKR you either need a skiddy bowler or you need a good swing bowler. Like you need a bowler like say an Umesh Yadav, or you need a bowler like say a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar or a Chris Wokes, right? Someone who can move the ball around a little bit with a new ball, right? Because you don't want to give the batter space. Because I'm telling you, that is a rocket outfield, right? And it's small as well. Like third man and final leg, they say 60 yards. I promise you, if it could be just 55 yards. You could flick a ball early and hit the leading edge and top edge, and it could go for 6. Like it's that small third man final. So you have an express bowler, like you can just slash and like hope to catch an edge, you'll get 4 man. So this fast bowlers are always going to be under a lot of pressure, unless
trying
you
to
can
think.
be as terrifying as what's Jofra Archer, who can move the ball as well, seam the ball as well at pace.
I'm trying to think of someone who kind of fits into that at the moment. Is Gus Atkins? I mean, Gus Atkins is basically like unwritten Nokia, though, isn't just slower, but you get a little bit of batting with him as well.
Gus is a good option. I would certainly say Gus is a good
What
option.
about Matt Henry? Is Matt Henry, because I don't even know if he has a contract anymore.
Because Matt Henry is a similar bowler to Lockie Ferguson, right?
Yeah, just slower and more skillful, right? Probably better at the top. I mean, he's a new ball bowler, and Lockie's not quite a new ball bowler. Anyway, thank you for that super chat. That was really cool. Supra, where are we next? Sundeep says, "Hey Robbie, great to see."
Seriously?
Yeah. No, fair enough.
I really hope Smaran actually gets a gig in the IPL. I think he's in the SRH side and came in as a replacement, but unfortunately he's a because they have so many left-handers. I don't know if he'll get an opportunity, but he's doing so well. I'm pretty certain they won't let him go as well. But if they actually let him go, I'm certain that there's a team out there who can. I'm not sure if he's with Kings or if he's with SRH, one of these two teams. But if he gets let go of, then I think he will certainly get an opportunity with some team, because he's a really exciting youngster, and I really hope that he gets that opportunity to represent himself at the IPL stage.
Ad says, strategy this year, picks and releases to both. STH?
SRH, he means. So I think
I was like, South strategy?
So I think with SRH, I think you won't want to change much, because I think they've got a pretty solid side. I would keep the side pretty much the same. What did they do well? What did they do last year as far as the rankings are concerned? They came 6th last year, but I still they're genuinely a team that's quite hit or miss.
I was going to say, if the two opening batters go nuts again and Heinrich Klaasen gets unleashed in the middle overs, they're a much better team. I'm not sure I see a title-winning team in them at the moment. They could make some moves, of course, and change things around.
You know the piece they're missing? The piece they're missing is a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar kind of player.
They had him for years.
That's the piece they're missing. That's the piece they're missing.
Everyone's missing Bhuvi in their life. Shardul breaks Robbie's record of the most trades in the IPL. My God. Were you traded a lot? Twice?
I was traded twice.
Wow. Aviator said, who's selected for Hong Kong Sixers? Was it official? Yep, Ajit Agarkar spent months and months planning for the Hong Kong Sixers.
So what they do is they don't send current players. So the Indian players are selected by the Hong Kong board, and they have to pick players within a particular budget. So a lot of the retired players don't come in their budget, so they have to figure out a team within that, and so there's a constraint there. So we try to be as reasonable as possible as well. So and it's actually picked by the Hong Kong Cricket Association, and I think ours was the only retired player squad that actually turned up. Everything else were mixed squads. Australia sent current and retired players. Like Andrew Tye was there, and so were like Ben McDermott and Cam Green and all were part of that squad. Pakistan generally send a very young side, and genuinely, I believe this is the best version of cricket for Pakistan. They have they have no time to think. They just have to play one way. So I think the shorter versions are the versions where they will thrive at. You give them time to think, I think they implode. But some of the other sides are also pretty good, right? As in some of the younger sides are also, as in some of the associate nations teams are also pretty good. Like Nepal is actually a very good side. They have some, really good youngsters coming up through the ranks, and Kuwait was also a good side. UAE are a good side, but I think they sent their second string side, if I'm not wrong. Sri Lanka sent youngsters. So I think it's a great training ground to send youngsters at, give them a little bit of exposure to see how they do well, if they do well under pressure. But no, it's not selected by the BCCI. These teams are selected by Hong Kong, but they get the blessing from BCCI to have an Indian team there. And that's why retired players play.
Abby says, can't teams just hire translators? I mean, come on. So the thing with translators is, they can.
Yeah, sure.
But
they can have translators.
If
But
it
it's not the
gets
same thing.
Yeah, and not only that, it gets really complicated with where the translators can be and where they can't be, because you can't, let's say you have 7 or 8 different languages in there and you need 4 or 5 different translators. That's 4 or 5 extra people in the change room. Suddenly it gets very complicated very quickly.
And you get limited accreditations, by the way, right? You only get 18, or I think you get 20 accreditations to take to the ground. So you can only take 20 players and officials and managers and support staff to the ground.
And then you've got, you also, like if a coach wants to go up and talk to a player on the bus, there might not always be room on the bus for every, like, I know it sounds weird, but these things are actually a really big deal when you
These
start
are real
to think
issues.
about,
Also think about it, Abhi. Just think about this. Imagine, I don't know what you do for a job, but say if you're working in the corporate world, right? And then you don't understand a lick of what your CEO says, right? And the CEO has got a translator. But the CEO has passed a message on to you, but it's come through the translator. Do you really think you'll get the entirety of that message from the translator? And the intensity at which the CEO is speaking to you at?
And that's part of the thing. And also, like, when you are translating yourself, it is easier to try and get the right exact meaning. Whereas when someone else is translating, they won't always do it.
There's so much that's lost in translation.
I don't know if you know about this as well. Do you know who Shohei Ohtani is? I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, you told me the story.
But so he had a translator. Yeah, and his translator got done for bank fraud, and I think there was like some sort of other thing as well. I'm just saying, when you're adding extra people, there are lots of other complications. But there's no doubt that cricket has, and I've said this before, cricket has a massive translation problem, because we get people to go out and do press conferences in languages that they're not even close to being fluent in. You know, I don't know if I've ever told you the Umar Gul story, mate, when he came out to do a press conference once for Pakistan, and he basically said that Ricky Ponting wasn't good. But we all understood that wasn't what he was saying. He was saying it's not good to bowl to him, and he just got it wrong, right? But we as a press corps, and I don't even know if there was a Pakistani, there might have been 1 or 2 Pakistanis in the press corps, but it was mostly Australians. It was the neutral test that they played in England. We actually, as a press corps, had to agree that that's what he meant, right? Someone could have just run off and just got a cheap headline out of that, like really, really easy. And I've had.
They would now.
Now, there's no way that would happen. But also now, it would have been live streamed. So there wouldn't have been that group around to do that. A couple left. Aviator says, reasons behind the embarrassment of HK.
We just told you, Aviator.
V9 says, I think RCB should go for Corbin Bosch. Well, he's still contracted with Mumbai though, isn't he? And Venki Iyer. And Hyderabad miss a guy like Kohli more than Bhuvi because sometimes they are lacking stability. It's quite, the Ishan Kishan thing is really fascinating to me. He's eventually going to break through as a player. I truly believe that, but he's never been consistent. Corbin Bosch and Venki Iyer, that I suppose shores them up a little bit, but that's an interesting one. I think that's it for us though, done. Robbie has many other things that he needs to do, as always. He's got a plan for the next.
Why do you pin this on me? You know you probably have 4 more recordings after this. I go back to my kids and put them to sleep.
Thank you very much, everyone. Please like, subscribe, do all those things that you do, and we will see you on another KimAppa very, very soon.